We can go like back and forth, alternate, whatever.
Well, this ties back into the last one, but my first one that I wrote down is judgment.
Mm-hmm.
This is not to say that your friend can never, like, you know, be, like...
Critical.
Yeah, but it's just, like, that judgment piece to, like, anything that you do or say or just are as a person.
Similar to that, I have superiority. Does your friend think that you are inferior to them?
Yes.
And this also ties back to what you're mentioning in the first question. Do they speak to you in a condescending tone? Are they constantly over-explaining different scenarios to, like, dumb it down for you? Do they talk down to you? Do they embarrass you? Do they try to do public humiliation for you?
Yeah.
Because they don't see you as an equal. And I feel like this is something that people can play off as, like, a joke, or just like, oh, that's just
I literally have, I'm just joking in quotes. That's, like, the whole thing.
People can put it as, like, a joke or play it off something easy to swipe under the rug. But understanding that this person does not see you as an equal is definitely a red flag, and it may be something you don't notice until deeper into a friendship, which can be, you know, difficult to get out of, but it's still like a major, like, I don't want this person around me because they do not see me as the same level as me.
To be honest, they just don't see you. That's where the sentence can end. If they're seeing you as a distorted version of whatever they want to put this, like, label on you or whatever else, then they just don't see you, and they kind of have this very narrow view of, like, people in general, and it almost has nothing to do with you. More has to do with them than anything. But I feel like one that goes along with what you just said, when I was thinking about this question, I forgot to write it down, was they're always trying to fix you. I think it's so important to have a friend who is there to give you, like, sage advice, is always the one to give you the real, but, like, if you are constantly trying to fix me, even from, like, small things to big things, that is so exhausting. And then you have no, like, camaraderie or, like, connection because they're always trying to be your parent or whatever else. Yeah.
And that also makes it difficult for just the friendship dynamic in general because no one ever wants to parent their friends.
Yeah.
And you don't want your friends to parent you. And also, if they're constantly nitpicking at every single thing you do, then you don't get along.
You can't do anything right ever.
Leave me alone! The next one I have is jealousy. Not in the sense of, like, being jealous of, like, who you hang out with, because I feel like everyone has different levels of that. You may be a jealous person, you may not be. You're entitled to, like, want to see someone or, like, be upset if someone has, like, different kinds of things. But I mean it in the sense, do they celebrate your successes with you? Do they share in your happiness with you? And are they competitive in life itself? In terms of the competition, I believe that there can be healthy competition to help urge each other forward in any friendship. I personally am not a competitive person. So if you are competing with me, you're going to win. You're doing it on your own.
I agree. I will immediately give up on a competition. It's just not something I'm interested
not for me.
No, I'm not interested in that.
If you do have competition in a friendship in life, I think those things can be so beautiful. You're constantly urging each other forward. But it only works if you can celebrate each other's success in that dynamic.
And again, they don't think you're inferior.
You both have to be aware that the competition exists. I've had friends in the past who are always trying to, like, one up in, like, oppression Olympics, trying to say, like, someone's more upset, I have to have this more attention, or like in general success, it's like, oh, I'm having better grades, I can show this to you, but in a condescending way, not in a helpful way, or not being there for you when you are doing well for yourself, and instead being upset with your success because they don't share in it. They may mask it as like, oh, I am proud of you, but if there's ever a but to your success, that is a red fucking flag.
When you started off with, like, the whole jealousy thing, I was like, oh my god, I've definitely been that friend before, but in the sense that, like, when I was younger, I was always so conscious of, like, when my friends were hanging out with other people and I wasn't there.
Yeah, that's like FOMO.
And then it became something else and I was like, oh, never mind, I'll back up. Just someone who, like, sees your successes and is like, well, she doesn't deserve it, I need that from me, or I, you know, like, whatever, that kind of thing. I think it kind of just honestly goes against everything that friendship is about. For me, anyway, like, friendship is just, like, you are choosing to hang out with this person or be with this person for no other obligation other than you enjoy their company. And if you are trying to constantly one up the other person or like demean them or like whatever, then you don't know how to be friends. You don't know how to have a friend.
I was younger, I used to, and I mean like as of last year,
Yeah.
I used to like be very anti-jealousy because it would always piss me off. When I was little, first of all, I didn't have a lot of friends.
Yeah.
And none of my friends ever got along because I was so popular. No, I'm just kidding. It would always make me so angry when one person would be upset about who I was able to hang out with.
Yeah.
Because they would make it open and they would like make me pick sides. And it's like elementary school, middle school. Yeah. But that shit built up. I was like, any aspect of jealousy, I'm like, don't fucking talk to me. I will just not hang out with either of you and I'll play by myself or find someone else. You know what I mean? So I did used to have like such a heavy like, that shit's so stupid, I hate everything. But now like, people, now I'm like realizing more. Just
there's
because,
nuance to it.
Yeah. You can have healthy levels of jealousy. Like you can want to hang out with someone and see that they're with someone else, but you can still like, I'm glad you're enjoying time with someone. I'm glad like that's fine, but there is a point where it stops. And I'm trying to be more like accepting of the concept because I didn't like it in any aspect. And I'm like, you need to like allow people space.
Yeah, but that's important to like figure out too. I think there's a line between like obviously like not having any tolerance whatsoever for jealousy and realizing that that's not like healthy and moving past that. But there's certain things. Oh my god, this should be a question. I think these two kind of go along that I have. Eager to put you down, like at any step or any turn. And then the other one is just the phrase, I'm just joking. And that is inspired by this one girl I knew in high school. She wasn't really like a friend of mine, like we were just acquaintances. And I realized this over time, where she would say the most ruthless thing and then she'd be like, I'm just joking. But like after a while of just hearing her say that, you realize she wasn't joking, but she was masking it by saying like, oh yeah, I was just kidding. And people would like laugh, move on, whatever. And I was like, this bitch is like
mean.
Yeah, like she has those thoughts. After a while, you can't just say everything is a joke. Even if like she didn't voice those things or whatever, she was just even having those thoughts. Like after a while, you kind of just have to sit down and be like, oh, I just have like these kinds of awful thoughts. If you're saying them out loud and then you're like, oh my god, I'm just joking, because you know that's not acceptable to say.
Keep it to your fucking self.
But also, like, work on yourself. Don't say it to yourselves either. Why are you saying it? Okay, we all have mean comments in our head, and then we're like, let's back the fuck up. And then you're like, okay, let's relax. Why is this person pissing you off so much? Or whatever it is, you know? I kind of realized that, like, a lot of the time, not every time, and obviously, again, there's nuance to this, but when people are just saying, like, they say something mean, and then they say, I'm just joking, as soon as they say that, I'm like, kind of retreat a little bit, and then I kind of wait to figure them out before I like do anything else, because if you're able to say sometimes like mean or critical things and then say that I'm just joking after, you just want to be able to say the thing without repercussion. And the other one was just like eager to put you down, which is like self-explanatory, and we've touched on it a little bit.
I have just one more. Kind of off topic from everything we said, but it's like, what are they talking about when they're with you? And I mean this more in the sense of like,
oh my god, this is such a good one. Go ahead.
Like complaining and mulling in sadness together. And this came from like a video I was watching about someone venting about friendship. So the whole reason I made this video.
But we've talked about this. Do you remember like when it was like all of us? Yes.
Okay, call back. Y'all don't get it.
The way I forget the cameras here, I'm just like talking to you.
Sitting in misery and trauma bonding aren't good foundations for building a healthy friendship.
No.
And I think that has become like a really common misconception.
Like that's like the default now.
Yeah, everyone wants to just sit and whine and complain and be sad together. And I'm noticing it more like becoming more common. I'm like, you cannot be happy together if nothing you have in common is positive or good. You should not be friends because you're just going to hold each other down, keep yourself in completely unhealthy mental states, and it's just not good for anybody involved.
And not to be like, oh my god, like, if you have depression, just smile or whatever, but like, you can choose joy in your life and in your relationships. What do we do down here when we sit together for hours and hours and hours? We like choose to laugh and watch something and just be in each other's company while we're having fun. And even if we may not be feeling the greatest within like our own individual selves, like that is the whole point of it all. And you can just have that. Even if you're not doing okay, even if you're at your worst moments, if all of your friendships are centered around
your worst moments,
yeah, then you're never going to get out.
Yeah, I think that's so important. And not to say that you can't vent with your friends or be upset, because it's important to be able to have that, but you need to see the line between having that be your friendship.
But then the thing becomes, like, you're venting to your friend, and then to them, it's like they trauma dumped on me. Mm-hmm. And it's like, I can vent to a friend about something like that happened to me. Doesn't even have to be traumatic. It's just something that happened to me that I'm frustrated about. And it doesn't mean that I'm trauma dumping on you. It just means that I'm confiding in a friend. Yeah.
It just becomes like
we've just
emotionally draining.
Yeah.
And these types of friendships, and you're not able to build any true connection. You just are seeing each other as someone to sit and mope with, and that's not what a friendship should be, or not what I think a friendship should be.
If we're going back to, like, for a second, like, what you value in a friendship, I value joy in a friendship. Like, and if the center of a friendship that I have is, like, our shared experience of something horrible that has both happened to us, that's fine. But if that's all we ever talk about, if like a central pillar of one or more of my friendships is something that makes me upset and, like, is something that's deeply traumatic for me, that's who I surround myself with, people who have that same experience, I would be doing worse. That's just, like, plain and simple. At Simmons, it's so common. People are actively seeking that at every turn, especially, like, every new batch of freshmen is, like, more and more and more, like, in tune with this. It's, I don't know, it's scary. The one biggest brain rock that the internet has given us in, like, the last probably, like, 10 years, like, therapy language has become so common. And so, like, everything is, like, you're trauma dumping, or you're trauma bonding, or you're gaslighting, you're diagnosing people. Just throw it all out. You don't know anything. We all know literally nothing.
I mean, I'm studying this.
Licensed professionals, some just don't fucking get it, but I feel like there are, like, very few people in the world who have enough, like, knowledge and, like, practice and experience and are able to kind of point out those things and those dynamics. And we do not have, like, the macro level view of situations to be able to, like,
do that,
use that kind of language and do that. Yeah, that is, like, the most infuriating thing to me. Like, I would say, especially, like, during our college years, this has happened more and more, where, like, anything you do, you're either diagnosing your friend with something or they've gaslit you. Those things are very serious words, and we've kind of, like, really diluted them, and they've lost all their importance and their gravitas. Like, honestly. And wait, that has no place in a friendship. Like, sometimes a friend is just talking to you to talk to you. They're not trauma dumping on you and have then traumatized you as well. They're just opening up to you. People have just lost, like, what relationships are and have moved on to diagnosing them before they even understand them. Anyway, that's my little rant on how therapy language has, like, infiltrated regular relationships and friendships.
This was one that you need elaboration on, and so I'll also explain it to everybody. What I mean by friendship hierarchies is just simply, like, having best friends, acquaintances, and making those clear, actual separations in the hierarchy itself of who you're close to.
I think that is so valuable. I think it's important to know, like, there are people that you can kind of honestly, like, bare your soul to, and then you can move on to a joke in the next second, and that's what it is, and that those are, like, my, like, the very, like, core circle and whatever else, and knowing who those people are and clearly defining that, and then kind of expanding out, like, people you spend a lot of your time with, who bring you comfort and stuff like that, but you may not necessarily, like, have that same
connection.
Connection, but you still have some sort of connection. Obviously, like, desire to want to spend time together. And then there are friends you're friends with, but you know that this is kind of like a transient friendship, and that's okay. Like, I genuinely, wholeheartedly believe in transient friendships and their kind of purpose. If someone is friends with you, let's say, for the duration of high school, and then you never speak again, they were still there for you for the entirety of high school. Whether they were, like, your inner circle or not, that was someone that you, like, leaned on. I was just looking back on texts from a friend from high school where we literally stopped talking the day after graduation. We still have each other on socials and stuff, and, like, we'll occasionally like each other's things, but we do not talk or anything like that. But I think it was so valuable to have her around during that time and like just have that person. Deep down, I kind of knew it would be a transient friendship, and at the time I may not have been as okay with it, but now I'm like, she was there for me during that time and I was there for her, and what more can you ask for? Now with like modern invention and stuff like that, you can still stay in touch. I could reach out to her whenever I want. She could do the same, and it doesn't have to be any more complicated than that. And then there's like your acquaintances and whatever else. But I think in all of this, it's very important that kind of both people know what kind of tier of friend you are. Not that like it's like an exclusivity thing, but it's not cruel to another person, where I think like this person is my acquaintance and they think I'm their best friend. I mean, at least I think that's cool, and it can just kind of leave there without either party realizing.
Completely opposite. I do have a different take on it because I personally don't believe in friendship hierarchies like that. Not that I don't believe that there's distinctions and differences in relationships, but I feel like my relationships with people often look very different, but not in terms necessarily of being like better or worse, closer or further apart. And I feel like if I view you in a good light, if the relationship exists and I call you a friend and genuinely mean it, then I view you highly. Like I say like, oh, that's my friend, that's like my default word for me to like genuinely mean it for myself, not necessarily what I say. Creating the distinctions is like really difficult for me because it takes me so long to like allow a friendship to be real and be something that I actually am like, this is a friend to me. This goes back to like the jealousy thing, but like I always had to say who my best friend was. Like
you always had to define
I am your best friend. This is my best friend. And I had like, there were times where I had no friends, there were times where I had 3. And then being like, but I'm like the better friend, right? Like you're closer with me, right? And I'm like, sometimes for one, it wasn't true. But also like, it's not about like the closeness, it's our comfort. And why does it matter if I say you are my best friend or not? So I do believe in like understanding the distinctions, being able to understand how you view the relationship individually, like you were talking about. But I don't think putting it in an actual hierarchy exists for me. The level of closeness doesn't make a relationship better than the next. It just makes them different. When I have to weigh in on someone being a best friend, it also implies that there's a worse friend. And that makes me just sad. So I don't think like that.
See, I've never thought about it like that. I have my best friends. I talk about them all the time. And there's like never an implication that there's like a worse friend. Like it's just like this is someone that is just closest to me, and that's just that. There's no like other
there's no like, question about it.
But I do think that I understand your thing of like it takes so long to kind of get close to someone and then to assign some kind of like
role
is like weird and difficult, and I agree with that. I think like it takes me a long time for me to be like, oh, this person is like my best friend or whatever. Like I grow and change in that every single day. Because for example, like my 2 best friends are people I've had around in my life since I was like
so it's
13.
Not me.
So sorry to break it to you. Like the 2 people that I call my best friends I've known since I was 12 and 15 respectively. Like so it's taken me a long time to be that, and there's no one else that has ever. What was I saying? Yeah, I've known those people for so long. I'm 22 plus 1 at this point. And
there is somebody walking around down here trying to record. You're fine to walk if you can hear me, but just making a vibe to go off.
My point is that I am 22 plus 1 at this point. I still have those 2 people, and no other kind of connection that I've had has kind of matched up to what I have with those 2 people. Not saying that those other friendships are not valuable. Obviously they are, but it takes time. So I do understand that point of it. But I do think for me, like, for example, with like the transient friendships that I talked about, I think about this a lot. I know like for a fact that every person that I've met in college, for example, is not going to be my friend forever. But I know, it's so sad. Because I can't imagine not having certain, like, all of you in my life, right? But this has been life for the past few years. You're all around. We all live in the same place. But it's just a matter of fact that, like, there's just some people I won't know after college, but they'll, like, know things about me that I may not feel comfortable with them knowing, like, 10 years on. And so having that kind of tier lets me know, like, what things I should kind of divulge and what things you have to, like, reach, like, the 5-year status or something to, like, you know, get to know about me. I think that's why, for me, also, like, those tiers are important to have.
My main thing, like, why it implies there being a worst friend is that it was always brought up in such a, like, competitive way. And I would try and, like, finagle it by trying to, like, categorize the friendships and how I, like, understood them to me. I'm like, you're my best friend, this is my sister, this person's a brother to me, this person is this. And then they're like, okay, but then who are you closest to? I'm like, I am trying not to answer that fucking question because it doesn't matter to me. Just, I like being your friend, but it doesn't matter what.
It doesn't,
Yeah, but I know it does to other people. Like, I remember talking and I was like, I think my best friend is myself. Because it's just like how I interact and talk. And then my friend was like, I've been saying you're my best friend for years and I've been waiting for you to say it back. I was like, that sucks, but like, I don't care. I didn't say I don't care. But I was like,
I was gonna say, Lonnie, like, that's a little.
I don't view friendships in this way. It's not that I don't care about you and think about you closely. Obviously I do. I've been your friend for 10 years. Like, you shouldn't need
validation from that title.
But I don't want to just say it because it means so much to people. If I say it, just be like, then I'm your best friend.
So there's no one that you call your best friend?
No.
Okay. And then, can I ask more about that specific situation? Like, how did you move past that? Like,
it wasn't like an issue. It felt more like just like a snide comment because we had these types of conversations.
Are you still friends to this day?
It's editing me back again. Humorously enough, I'm in the place where I actually recorded this video. Just coming to say goodbye. Ignore my awkward arm placements. I am using my phone as lighting because it's really bad down here. There's 7 questions total. Us answering the 3rd and 4th questions are going to be it for this video specifically. It's a bit of a longer one than the last one. Hopefully you enjoyed though. If you liked the video, go ahead and like the video. If you didn't like it, dislike it. If you have something to say, comment down below. Feel free to join in on the conversation. I'd love to hear other people's thoughts on these types of topics and questions. As I always say, don't want to comment or interact with the video? You don't have to. You have no obligation to do so. Thanks for watching. Hopefully you got something out of it. If not, sorry for wasting your time. Bless.